This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for your participation. Today's guest speaker is Farooq Vishram. He's talking about solar power advances in 2022. As usual, we're starting with a presentation that is followed by a Q&A session. Only exceptionally in today's session, after the Q&A session, you will be asked questions on your takeaway from today's session. Farooq Vishram is an electric engineer by profession, currently specializing in solar power engineering. Through his firm, Solaram, he provides solar power engineering expertise to some of the largest solar power projects in Canada and in New Zealand. A graduate of Portsmouth University in United Kingdom, where he studied electrical engineering on an Aikiden grant, and he is repaying it forward by providing volunteer engineering service to various Aikiden projects in the developing world as solar power technical advisor, a role that he has had since 2006. Farooq has traveled extensively in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan to oversee the design and construction of several solar PV projects associated with hospitals, medical clinics, schools, community centers, and electrification of remote villages. Pandemic has stopped his international travel for now, but he continues working remotely on various solar power projects in Syria, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan, India, Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique. His volunteer solar engineering work was recently published by the Association of Professional Engineering Alberta, titled A Powerful Impact. He's a proud parent of 2 children and 2 grandchildren, and loves road biking and backpacking, kayaking with them. And his passion and his mission in life is to help electrify some of the world's remotest regions with affordable green power, regions that are marginalized by the impact of climate change. Well, this is a short biography of our guest speaker. The first time Farooq visited head office, roughly 2 to 3 years back, for JK Construction and solar power plant in Murgab and other projects. Pamir Energy, with the government of Tajikistan, USAID, and other international donors, worked hand in hand to install Murgab solar power plant, as water power generation was challenging in this cold area. And Farooq was also part of this remarkable achievement to run the first solar power plant in the country as a utility. Thank you Farooq, for accepting this offer and presenting in today's session. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Julia. I assume everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, thank you everybody for taking time to attend this session. Thank you, Julia, for setting it up and being on the ball with me, making sure that everything was done on time and sent out to everybody in a timely manner. So thank you very much for that, Julia. Like Julia said, I've been in the solar industry for the past 12 years, and I'm very, very excited to share with you the current status of the industry and some of the opportunities that are there in Central Asia. Solar energy is very exciting and interesting field that is constantly evolving with innovations in material science, power electronics, energy storage chemistries, and so on. Above all, this technology has the potential to remove significant amount of greenhouse gases globally. So let's get started. I'll start with this slide here. The potential of the sun, more energy from the sun falls on the earth in 1 hour than can be used by everyone on this planet for 1 year. This energy source is greater than any other energy source available to mankind. So clearly, this energy is going to be around for a very, very long time to come. The biggest challenge is a cost-effective harnessing of the solar energy. This technology also happens to be where the most buzz is today in terms of research in energy areas. Every research facility in the world is investing heavily in this for far more than any other form of energy. So great results are expected, which will further drive the cost down. So maybe let's start with some historical perspective. This, believe it or not, was the very first solar panel ever installed. This was in 1883. I thought I should start with this, showing the first rooftop installation in New York City. This was generating 1%, was generating at 1% efficiency. In my short history in the business, since 2010, on my first project in Ontario, Canada, we were using 230 watt panels, modules, with an efficiency of 13.7%. Today, we're looking at using modules up to 650 watts bifacial. Bifacial means it produces power on both sides of the module. I have a better picture later on showing that. Modern panels today have an efficiency of 21, 22%, and they will last for the energy output of these modules come with a warranty of 12 years, and the product itself has a manufacturer's warranty of 25 years. A lot of modules are now getting into 30, 35, some are into 50 years of operation without any issues at all. So let's look at a bifacial module. Again, this was something that was state of the art 2 years ago. This was about a 370 watt module. Sorry. Yeah, so this was a 370 watt module, and it's a bifacial module, so it can generate power on this side as well as on the back side. And the way it does it is this is a better picture. So when installed, they look like so, and it actually produces power from both sides. So the sunlight hits it on one side, some of the sunlight bounces off the ground and hits it from the backside, and you can produce power from the backside as well. So in 2022, the largest modules you can buy are in the 600 watt range, 600 to 680 watts. Some I've seen are as much as 700 watts each. These are all bifacial modules with 27% efficiency, with about 11% bifacial gain. By bifacial gain, I mean there's another 11% power produced by the backside of the modules. So that's what the bifacial gain is. So let's look at some global perspective, what's going on in the world. In 1982 was the very first commercial or utility scale solar plant built in United States, which was just producing 1 megawatt of power. In 2020, the largest plant was producing 2,245 megawatts of power. So you can see today with today's technology, the size of the projects are getting bigger. The largest plant today that's up and running happens to be in India, and it's a 2.2 gigawatt plant, which covers roughly 5,700 hectare acres of land. In terms of soccer fields or football fields, it's about 8,000 football fields. So this year, actually last year in 2021, Sun Cable in Australia announced a project that is going to be 10 times bigger than the one in India. And we'll talk about that later in the presentation. So if you look at the global solar potential map, this is a map that's in the public domain produced by Solar GIS. You can see the ACA countries have a very, very large potential. You can see most of the ACA countries fall into 5 kilowatt hours per meter squared. So what that means is for every meter square of solar panel that you put in over 1 year, you would get 5.4 to 5.8, sometimes 6 kilowatt hours of energy from that. Just moving on, we will come back to this slide later again. So looking at, again, globally, China has some of the largest capacity, installed capacity, followed by United States, Japan, Germany, and India. So what is driving the, what's driving the growth? Let's just quickly touch on that. Basically, as you see from the left-hand side, the price of solar panels are dropping rapidly. You can see from late 1900s to today, the price of solar has really come down. And at the same time, on the right-hand side, the size of solar projects are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So a lot of it is to do with the price of the panel. The other thing that we should all realize that solar PV is not a fuel like diesel or like oil or like coal. It is a technology, and there's a tremendous amount of research going on that will that will bring the price of the technology down. Solar panels you install today will be outdated in 12 months. That doesn't mean you should not install them. It's just like your cell phones. You buy a cell phone today, in 3 or 6 months, there's much better cell phone out there. That doesn't mean you continuously keep replacing it. It just shows that, you know, the technology is evolving and it's going to A, get very cheap, and B, is going to produce way more power than it's producing now. So recent trends in the solar business has brought the levelized LCOE, means levelized cost of energy, down using bifacial technology that we talked about. The other thing that is also driving the price of installed projects or LCOE down is using tracking systems. And also the future thin film technology will further bring the cost of this technology down. Thin film technology is still very expensive. You see it on NASA satellites and at the space station. It can produce a lot of power with very little material, but that technology is very expensive. But the price again is coming down, and very soon we will be able to use it for our projects. At the same time, the battery technology is also coming down, and that's also helping with the storage issues that are commonly associated with solar energy. One of the reasons that the price of a solar project is coming down is using a single axis tracker. Single axis tracker follows the sun. So when the sun rises in the east, the tracker keeps following the sun until the sun sets in the west. So this is a single axis tracker. It just it follows the sun from east to west. You also, on the left hand side, I show a double axis tracker. This tracker not only follows the sun from east to west, but it also follows the sun north to south, and you use it for seasonal variation in the sun. So in the summertime, when the sun is way up in the sky, you point the tracker to the sun, and as the year progresses and you get into autumn and winter time, you keep adjusting the angle of the solar panel so it is perpendicular to the sun all the time. So this is two-axis tracker. It goes east to west and then north to south to follow the sun. And that again allows you to put less panels for the same amount of electricity generated over the year. Just want to quickly touch on the battery system. This is another area where the batteries are now getting very, very user-friendly and reasonably priced. These are battery cells. When you put several batteries into a little container, it becomes a battery module. And when you put the battery modules in a bigger container, it becomes a rack. And the racks fit into a shipping container, and that's how they start shipping batteries for large projects. For ARCA-sized projects, your battery sizes would fall somewhere in this area here. For Pamir-sized projects and bigger projects, they would fall in this area here. So about a 40-foot shipping container would have about 5 megawatt hours of power in it. And the price again has come down almost 76% since 2012 and about 35% in the last 18 months. Now with the pandemic, things have changed quite a bit, and I'm not 100% sure if the price are continuing to go down or if they started going up again. The other thing that's also driving the cost of solar down is because you have so many different, many more users around the world. Again, a lot to do with Paris climate change and the recent 2021 COP, where all the countries around the world pledged to bring the carbon the carbon production down by 2050. A lot of countries at the COP agreed to reduce their carbon or go carbon neutral by 2050. So because of that, it produces more users bring the price down. Just want to show you just very quickly the global electricity production. A lot of generation is still dependent on coal, gas, and oil. These are carbon producing technologies. This is what the COP and the Paris Climate Agreement has done, is to try and reduce it or bring it down to zero. So you will see a lot more projects using solar technology coming up in near future. The other thing I just wanted to quickly point out was solar energy has reached grid parity, which means solar can compete with wind It can compete with coal. It can compete with oil. It can also compete with nuclear power. So for one, to produce energy using solar is the cheapest form of energy today. It reached grid parity in 2014 for large utility scale project, and then later around 2011 it reached grid parity for rooftop solar as well. So grid parity is very, very important to remember. It means solar can compete with any technology that's out there that can produce power. So just want to quickly talk about the jobs around the world created by solar. Again, like I say, it's the fastest growing technology in the world. When you compare it to some of the other technologies that are out there, solar produces jobs in solar energy of far more than any other technology out there. By country, again, you can see China employs a lot more people in solar than any other technology. Japan, United States. So looking at some of the major global projects, I showed you this slide before. In 1982, we only had 1 megawatt of utility scale solar, and that happened to be in United States. The rest of the power was being produced by coal, oil, gas, or nuclear power. In India today, 2020, almost 2,245 megawatts of power comes from solar. In 2021, late last year, this $22 billion project, which will now be the largest solar PV project, is being designed by Sun Cable in Australia. The power will be produced in the desert of Australia, and it will be sent to Singapore, 5,000 kilometers away. And it will be used mostly by the people of Singapore. This project will cover 12,000 hectares or 17,000 soccer fields to produce that power. Again, like I say, this power will be produced in the desert of Australia, and it will be converted to DC, transmitted by DC overhead transmission line to Darwin. From Darwin, it's going to be an undersea DC transmission cable, which will take it 5,000 kilometers to Singapore. So 5,000 kilometer transmission line using solar panels is now way more cheaper than any other technology to get power in Singapore. So it just goes to show you that how cost effective solar power is. I don't want to scare you with the size of the projects, but just want to show you how much the technology has advanced and how we in ACA can take advantage of it. So let's maybe look at Central Asia. Unfortunately, I don't have too many slides for all the countries, but I do have some from Tajikistan and from Pakistan. So in Tajikistan, a lot of power comes from hydro. There is some that comes from oil. And with the recent events, global events, the price of oil has really, really shot up. So producing power using oil is going to be very, very expensive. So Tajikistan is also looking at some very large solar projects. There's one that's already built, but there's more that are in the planning phases. I've been working with Pamir Energy to see how, to help them achieve their project goals using solar. If you look at Pakistan, again, a lot of power comes from oil, gas, and coal. And then obviously Pakistan has some other technologies as well that don't produce greenhouse gases, but these technologies here will very soon be removed from the grid and replaced by renewable energy like solar that doesn't produce greenhouse gases. This is a map that was shared with me by Pamir Energy. Shows you significant amount of villages in Tajikistan that does not have electricity. And this is where, because of the modularity or the scaling of solar, you can start solar project with as a very, very small project using 2 or 3 modules, and make it grow as your load grows. So it can start as a very simple project, and you can make it as large as you want, just adding to it. Um, if you look at the solar potential map of Tajikistan, compare it to the rest of the world, in this range here between 1400 to 1600 kilowatt hours per kilowatt peak. So if you put 1 kilowatt of power in this area in Tajikistan, you can expect up to 1400 to 1600 kilowatt hours per year. So clearly you can see, compared to the rest of the world, Tajikistan has significant advantage in this region here. In Pakistan, a similar situation. There's several locations that have fantastic solar resource. Similarly, in Syria, in India, and other places in Central Asia, very similar situation, except I did not get a chance to download those maps to do the comparison. But a lot of countries in Central Asia follow the same pattern as Tajikistan and Pakistan. So again, the largest project that's up and running in Tajikistan happens to be in Murgab. This was a project done with US aid and Pamir Energy. I was involved in helping Pamir Energy work on this project. This is another picture of the Murgab power plant in Tajikistan. There's several projects in Pakistan, much bigger than the one in Murgab, except I wasn't involved with it, and I don't have the slides for it. I just wanted to share this slide. This is not an ACA project, or it's not in Central Asia, but several mountainous regions in Syria, in Tajikistan, in Afghanistan, also India, remote locations, you can install solar panels right on the ground, and it follows the contour of the mountain. So you don't need a flat area to install your panels. You can install them just along any mountainside that you wish. I just wanted to share this slide with you. This is experience in Canada, the impact of snow on solar panels. There is a research facility in Canada where they have solar modules at different angles, and through the winter, they clear one side, but they do not clear the other side. And they just want to compare what is the impact if you don't remove the snow. And over the past 6-7 years, consistently, they have concluded that if you do not remove snow from your modules, you only lose about 8 to 12% of your energy over the year. So even with snow falling on the modules, you can still generate a fair amount of power. As soon as the sun comes out, the modules start producing power. They warm up and the snow melts away. So So it really, you do not need to clear the snow. If you're in an area where labor is cheap and you want to clear the snow, that is fine. You will still get another 8% more power out of it. But really, we recommend there's no need to clear the snow if it's a very large facility and labor is very short. So again, just for your information, snow on modules is not, it's not a bad thing. Again, several areas in Pakistan, Tajikistan, India, Syria. Again, you can start building something like Murgab and keep adding to it. Solar is very, very modular. You can start very small and you can keep adding to it, make it as large as you want it to be. So some of the advantages I see in Central Asia, you got a huge demand for electricity. There's a lot of villages in all over Central Asia, Pakistan, India, that still have limited access to electricity. Very few transmission lines going to it. To me, that's an advantage. Just like when cell phones first came out, the people that adopted cell phones were people that did not have the telephone lines coming to their villages. Solar is the same. Right now, areas that do not have transmission lines will be adopting solar technology a lot faster than some of the other areas that already have transmission line and access to grid power. Several areas in Central Asia have over 300 days of sunshine in a year. Like I showed you on the solar map, very good solar resource, about 5.8 kilowatt hours per meter square of solar installation. The other thing I wanted to point out, higher the elevation, the better the solar efficiency. So a panel that you install at sea level versus a panel that you install high up on a mountain, the one on the mountain will produce more power than the one at sea level. Same with cold temperatures. Solar modules produce more power in the winter time than they produce in the summertime. The cooler the temperature, the more efficient, the more energy you get out of it. A lot of Central Asian countries like Syria, Tajikistan, Pakistan are very, very close to China. So you can get a lot of modules shipped by road from China. That again keeps the price of the modules and the electronics, the inverters down. Also, Central Asia is blessed with some really good labor, so your installation costs can be fairly reasonable. Again, I wanted to point out, Central Asia, this region here, with a fantastic, what they call is in the golden area of solar resource. So fantastic solar potential. And all we have to do is start using it. Just wanted to share this picture. It's my favorite picture from IEEE magazine. This is up in Tibet. You can see the monks carrying one module at a time up the mountain top. Like I said earlier, solar is very, very modular. You could start with one module. You can add, 5, 10 more as your budget allows. And very soon you can have a solar plant that's producing enough power to power your entire village. So technologies ACA can take advantage of. Again, like I say, solar is very cheap. The problem right now is storage. Again, the price of storage is coming down very, very quickly. And as the price comes down, we expect to see more projects using solar. So right now, the battery, most of the large batteries are pumped hydro storage. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when it comes to battery itself, lithium ion or lead acid, the maximum you can get out of it is about a 4-hour battery or a 6-hour battery or a 2-hour battery. So again, as the price of the batteries come down, you will see a lot of usage in batteries going up, and especially the technology is changing rapidly to allow 6 and 8-hour batteries to get cheaper and cheaper, so more people can use it. Just wanted to we talked about the lithium ion battery. This is a 5 megawatt hour in a 40 foot container. The price of this has come down significantly. The other area of storage I wanted to touch on was is something that Pamir Energy in Afghanistan is looking at. Also, Pakistan has used this technology quite a bit. So here, what we do is when the solar is at its peak at solar noon, and you got more energy than you know what to do with. What they do is they take a reservoir water and pump it up on the hill. So by about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, the upper reservoir is completely full. You have enough energy still to supply your grid with solar energy. And then in the evening, at night, when the sun goes down, you bring the water back down as hydropower into the lower reservoir and generate power through the night. So using this technology, you can save the solar plant to run at night as well by just moving the water up a mountain and then bringing it down at night after the sun goes down. So this would be a 12-hour storage, and it uses hydro technology called pump storage. The other technology I wanted to just quickly touch base with. So what we saw before in pump hydro was a 12-hour storage. This technology, which is gaining a lot of acceptance around the world, is seasonal storage technology. What you do is, I'm showing us, this project is in Canada. It used solar thermal collectors. So it takes the sun energy in the summertime and stores it underground in boreholes right through the summer. It keeps pumping all the excess energy that's not required in the summertime underground in boreholes. And then in the wintertime, it actually reverses it. It pulls the energy out of the boreholes and then heats up the homes. And it continues to do that until summertime when that energy is replaced again. So this project is not too far from where I live. It's got about 70 homes it's heating, and all the energy from the summertime can heat the entire village of 70 homes all through the winter time. Some of the other technologies, if you don't have space, this is a floating solar. If you have areas where you have a pond which is very toxic from other usage, like mining, when you have a gold mine or a copper mine, they usually end up with toxic reservoirs, which the water can't be used for anything else. In Chile, this picture is from Chile. They actually put solar panels on that toxic pond to produce power. This also keeps the modules fairly cool in the summertime, so you can produce more power. This is something that ACA could potentially use. These are irrigation canals. When I was in Tajikistan, in Pakistan, and in India, I saw a lot of irrigation canals. If you're running out of space because you got mountains on the side, or you got farmers field on the side that you can't mount your solar modules on, you can easily put them on an irrigation canal. Again, you get the advantage of the water in the canal keeping the modules cool, to produce more power. The modules in turn cover the canal, so you do not lose a lot of water in the canal through evaporation. So again, this is something that we can easily use in ACA countries. The other area that I wanted to just quickly point out is agrivoltaics. You can use solar panels to actually build greenhouses, or you can have farming under your solar modules with some gaps in between to let sun through if you do not have the resources. But if you want to develop agriculture in some remote villages and solar power, you could do something like so. Again, this is very, very popular in several countries because solar takes up a lot of land. Remember, I spoke about all those soccer fields that you need to produce large power. You can continue to use to produce, to do your agriculture or either growing plants or raising cattle with your solar projects. Now, this is one area that ACA, I hope, can start taking advantage quickly. There's several new technologies coming on the market from China and from other countries where you actually integrate solar PV right into your building materials. So this is a building roof that's actually producing power. So it looks exactly like your building shingles, but they're actually solar panels. This is slightly more expensive than, this is another way. This is in where I live in Canada. Several buildings are now, these are older buildings, but they have no issues putting solar modules in this way to come up with a very reasonably priced option to produce power for their building. So this is slightly more expensive than this, but this is a very, very cheap way of doing it using traditional solar modules. You do not need special modules. Again, several projects that I see coming up in ACA countries, in Syria, in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan. You can build some glass enclosures around your sitting areas, and your glass can produce power, and also you'll be able to see through the glass. If you've been through the Dubai airport, the terminal at Dubai airport has this kind of glass. You can't even tell it's a solar glass, but all the glass at the Dubai airport produces power using this kind of technology. You can also, this is fairly reasonably priced as well, and you can get them directly from China. Your entire roof. ACA has some beautiful architectures on their buildings. When I look at some of the projects in Korog, the Jamaat Khana in Korog, the University of Central Asia, the Aga Khan Hospital there, the medical center, this technology was fairly expensive, but if those projects were being built today, again, this is something I would recommend that they put on the roof. It doesn't take away from the architectural beauty of the building, and you can also at the same time produce power using those kinds of tiles. Again, in Canada, this is becoming very, very popular. the cladding on the building, not the glass, the cladding. The glass also produces power, but the cladding, you can get cladding in any material you want. So the front can be anything you want. What they do, this is completely transparent to let the UV lights that are needed by solar to go through, but you can dress it up and make it look really fancy, so your solar panel that's behind it is not visible. So these buildings again, the railing, the siding, the roof, they all produce power. Just wanted to show you one more thing before we stop for question and answers. This is a technology that is becoming very, very popular in Australia. And the price is coming down very rapidly, so other countries are starting to use it. In most buildings now in California and in Australia, you only need to bring a water line to your property. So what it does is the water goes through an electrolyzer, it produces hydrogen, and they use hydrogen to power fuel cells, to produce your energy for heating and for air conditioning. So water converted to hydrogen used for heating and air conditioning, and all the electronics here are powered by solar. So all you need is solar on your roof and a water line, and you can produce all the energy you need for the building using this technology. So this is something that is getting very popular, and I'm hoping the price will come down so we can start using it in Central Asia. So this again, the same thing, future buildings and homes, you'll only have water line coming to your building and solar panels on the roof, produce all the energy you need for heating, cooling, using electrolyzer and a fuel cell, and that's all you're gonna be needing. So why solar will be #1 choice? Again, this is my perspective for electrification projects. Extremely low cost. I'm just trying to summarize, and then we'll open up for question and answers. Extremely low cost, extremely modular. You can start building it one module at a time. Very simple, very little maintenance, very easy to transport. Like I showed you, you can move one module at a time. There's no fuel cost. And the solar technology, from the time it's manufactured to the time you decommission and recycle it, it's carbon neutral in the first 4 years. So from cradle to grave, cradle when it's built in a factory producing some carbon, the energy that it produces through its 35, 40, 50-year lifetime is carbon neutral in less than 4 years. Again, one of my favorite pictures, this is in Turkey, getting solar modules to very, very remote areas. You can take one module at a time. And then we talked about this picture again before. This is in Tibet. And we'll open up for questions. So thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you so much, Farouk. It was so interesting and timely and comprehensive. We can now move to the Q&A session. I'm asking the team to unmute and start asking your question. It's before the team will start asking
May
the
I,
question.
Sulya?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sulya, and it's a wonderful presentation, Mr. Farooq. So I'm not from this field, but lots of knowledge that has been like withdrawn from this presentation. So thank you so much for coming up with the slides that you have. So I have like one comment and one question. So the comment is that so considering the importance of the solar energy and the renewable energy as such, So Government of India has launched the international platform that is called International Solar Alliance with 81 member countries, and so that they are targeting the solar energy supply for up to 1000 gigawatt up to by end of 2030, and that was something that was decided during the Paris Agreement in 2015. So that is one of the unique initiatives that this government has taken, and hope they will be like we will be achieving the same by 2030. And one question that I want to ask you, sir. So, going towards in the direction of the renewable energies, we constantly talk about the green hydrogen. So, what's the future of the green hydrogen, and how do you see it like moving ahead as compared with the like solar energies and all those things we are constantly talking about? So, how do you see the green hydrogen in terms of in the domain of the renewable energy? Yeah, over to you, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Santosh. Excellent question. Thanks for your feedback as well. Green energy, basically, all I can do is I'm not an expert in that area, but I can tell you what's happening in my country, in Canada, which is I live in an area in the province of Alberta where we export a lot of oil and natural gas, and producing green energy either from water. Green energy is green hydrogen is actually from using water, using electrolysis, is the best information I have. In using today's technology, it is very, very expensive. So in Alberta, the cheaper option is to use natural gas and strip out all the other things out of it to produce hydrogen. We call that blue hydrogen. So it starts with natural gas. It's not as green as green hydrogen, but it's at the end result is still the same, that you produce hydrogen from natural gas. It's a little cheaper, but pure green hydrogen using electrolysis is very, very expensive with the current technology. What I showed you, the electrolyzer, again, these are smaller modules at commercial level and at household level. That technology is, you can still call it green technology. I'll just quickly go to it. You can call this a green technology because it's only taking water, going through an electrolyzer, and then produces oxygen and hydrogen, and you use oxygen and hydrogen in your fuel cell to produce heat for heating your home and for cooling. So the price is coming down, but large scale, to produce enough energy for the entire village or for entire town, it's still very, very expensive. But at household level and at small building level, the price is coming down using this technology. And one of the front runners is a company called Levo in Australia. Any other questions?
Santosh. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Please start asking your questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to share with you some of the largest projects, but didn't want to scare you because solar is very, very modular. I wanted you to start thinking very big projects, but using very small pieces and make it modular. So I hope I got my point across on that.
Dear colleagues, to ask your questions, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Sulya. Can I go ahead?
Please, Sana.
Thank you, Farooq. It was a very good presentation, and we've been using solar in some of our housing projects, and we do feel that in India it's quite affordable to do that. There was a slide that you spoke on the employment generation that happens due to the solar industry. I just wanted to know whether it most of them are for producing the panels, or there's a substantial a number that's also employed for installation and maintenance, because we do have in Gujarat a resource center wherein we would like to promote technicians training to skill the local electricians in how to do the installation and maintenance. So I just wanted to know whether this number is mostly for um, production and manufacturing, or for installation and maintenance?
Yeah, excellent question. Thank you, Sana. Nice to hear from you again. Yeah, so, Sana, what I show here is after the modules have been fabricated. This is strictly the job potential that solar is producing in each of the countries to actually install them. So there's several things here. You need people to prepare the ground, to transport the modules, to prepare the ground, to actually erect the racking system, and then to install the modules, to program, to do some inverter programming. Then we also have technologies that actually fly drones across those large solar fields that you see in India. India, again, like Sana, as you know, have very large solar plants. You cannot
Right.
physically walk across the field and check every panel. So what we do is we fly drones, and the drones take thermal imagery of the panels. So we know by looking at the thermal imagery whether the module is broken, it needs repairs, or if it needs cleaning. So all these new technologies that were developed because of solar is all built into these numbers here. But it does not include manufacturing. Manufacturing is mostly
Okay.
robotics, and very few people involved in manufacturing. I would say for every job in manufacturing produces about 10 or 15 jobs in actually installation of the technology. So good question.
Thank, thank you so much for the clarification.
You're welcome, Sana.
Shams Tajik is unmuted. Are you asking any, do you want to ask any question? Yeah, and no more question. We are running 2 minutes out of time. If no more question, we can close today's session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Julia, and thank you everybody to join the conference. Again, very nice to see. I recognize a lot of names of people that I met on my different visits to Central Asia. So thank you all for joining, and I will leave the slides. I made some changes last night, so I'll leave the slides with Julia, and hopefully it will be accessible to all of you if you need them. And on your projects, if you need any guidance at all or any information, please feel free to contact me. Julia has my contact information, so anytime you have any questions, please let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much, Farouk, for accepting my offer in contacting you in 2 years almost. And still you are so generous with your knowledge and for your time. Thanks for your knowledge. In Akka, in 2021 over 600 solar panel installed, and we have people with expertise in this field, and this new knowledge and best practices you are bringing, it's very timely, and we are very grateful for you to accepting this offer.
Yeah, no, I see a lot of good things happening in this area, especially in Syria, Tajikistan, Pakistan, and India. There's a ton of work going on, and as you know, AKDN wants to go net zero. So all new projects, you'll see a lot of solar on the new projects.
Yes, inshallah we will. Thank you, everyone. In the
Thanks,
chat box,
everybody.
yes, in the chat box we have a link to the assessment form. If you have time, you can stay here and fill the assessment form. Otherwise, we will wish all you have a nice evening and nice morning for Farooq.
Yeah, and please send me the comments, Shulia. Yeah, I would like to get the comments just so know what to present on the next one.
Yes, for sure, we will share all the feedback. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Yeah, bye-bye.